All right, welcome to lesson 1 of Dreamweaver. This is going to be a really short lesson. We're just going to look at the interface a little bit, show you around the workspace, and show you how to set up a new site. We're not going to get into setting up the workspace quite yet. I'm going to get to that a little bit later because you really need to get a file open, get a site open before you can really see all the tools and toolbars and things like that, and they come to life. So really short lesson here. We'll take a look at how to manage your sites, how to create HTML documents, everything that you'll need to follow these lessons. So here we go. This is the Dreamweaver interface as we first come into it. The first thing that we're going to need to do is to create a website. Okay. To do that, there's a couple of ways. I'm going to show you one or two. Whichever way you do it, it's up to you. It's whatever you find easiest. We need to get to the site menu, and we can either go to new site, and it'll walk us through a little wizard that'll walk us through how to set up a site, or if you're more advanced, you can jump right into manage sites and do it that way. You can also get to both of these places from over here in the files panel. Dropping down this drop down menu, if you had any sites, they'd show up here. We don't. You can get to manage sites here. You can get to manage sites here. So like I said, tons of ways to get to the same place and get the same thing done. I'm just going to go through the site menu, and I'm going to go through manage sites. I'm going to show you the hard way because I think you can handle it. So manage sites. This is where we will see a list of any sites that we have in Dreamweaver at any given time. As you can see, I have none so far. I have two options. I can import a site, or I can do a new site. Okay, we're going to do new site. I'm not going to go into all this stuff on the left hand side. That's stuff for later on. We're going to keep it simple today, and we're going to give our site a name. We're going to call this one work site or practice site, whichever one you prefer. And we have to give it a location. For us, you're either going to use your document folder, your H drive, or your Google Drive. I'll let you know in class which one we're going to use at any given time. The one thing you do need to make sure that you pay attention to is the folder that you put it in. Whatever you put here is Dreamweaver is actually going to build that folder for you. Don't ever leave this as unnamed site or unnamed site 1, 2, whatever. That's unprofessional. And if you start making several of these, you're going to get to where you're going to lose your files. You're not going to know what's what and where. Go ahead and give this a name. I always name it the same as my site name. That way they both kind of go together. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my desktop for right now, and we'll put it in work site folder there. Hit save and done. And as you can see over in my files panel, from this drop down menu, it's going to tell you exactly what website you're working in at any given time. If I had more than one here, I could switch back and forth between them. And right here in the files, we'll see that we are in our work site. It'll give you the full address of where that folder is in case you need to know, which you will need to know at some point in time. But we have no files in that folder. They would show up in this white space. Now I'm going to jump out of Dreamweaver and show you that it actually created that folder for me here. Okay, so it's doing all this work for me. There's really no reason to jump out of Dreamweaver for much of anything. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish as far as manipulating files and folders from right here in the Files panel. Okay, I can actually right-click right here in the Files panel. It gives me all these options: make a new file, make a new folder, open something, edit something, all this stuff. Okay, what we need now is we need to create our first page for our website, and to do that, it's just like any kind of normal Microsoft Office, anything that you're normally accustomed to. We're going to go to the File menu and to New. Now, for our sake and what we're going to be looking at in our class, we're not going to go into a lot of this really awesome stuff. We're going to do some CSS. We're not going to be doing, we might do some JavaScript, but any of this other stuff, don't even worry about it for right now. If we have time by the end of the year, we'll look at some of these. But for right now, since we're familiar with HTML already, we're going to go ahead and just make an HTML document, and we're going to give it a name. Remember, our first page, our home page, is always called index. Do not leave this as untitled or home page or something like that. It's unprofessional. Leave this as document type HTML5. There are some other options here. We're going to leave ours at HTML5. We can go ahead and attach a CSS sheet if we want to. We don't have one. We'll pick that up in the next lessons. But just from here, we're going to give it a title, and we're going to say create. And here we go. Dreamweaver builds our first page for us. It sets up our basic code for us, so no more having to type that by hand. We've got our heading tag, our title tag. We can go ahead and throw in a title here if we wanted to. I don't want to leave that index, but we'll change that later to anything that we'd like to. Most of our work that we're going to be doing is going to be inside these body tags, so you could actually go in there and make you some room in there, because that's where we're going to be throwing all of our code here later. Okay. I do want to bring your attention that once we made this file, it is called Untitled 1. There's a couple of ways you can fix that. We want to change that right off the bat. What I would do is just go ahead and save this file. Just hit save, save it. It's going to save it in your worksite folder, and give it a name here, index. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave it as, if I can spell, I'll leave it as untitled just to show you something. As you can see, after I save it, it pops up here in my files panel. I can edit this file straight from here from now on. I can right click on it, go to edit, and I can rename it straight from my files panel, index. Isn't that awesome? Now you'll notice that it doesn't change directly right here. I'll have to close this in order for it to show up again. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that you can do things like that from that files panel. Okay. Anything else that I want to show you today? I do want to show you how to import sites. Let's say later on you get to working with your partner and they send you a folder with a website folder for you to use, and you need to pick one up that's already been made. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to go to Site, Manage Sites, and I'm going to go to this work site that I just made, and down here you'll see a button. It's got a little pencil, and it's to edit my site. So I'll go to Edit, leave everything here alone. As you can see right now, that site is on my desktop, but I've got one that's pre-made, already has stuff on it in my document folder. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this little folder on the right hand side. It'll open up a window. I'll maneuver to my documents, and here's a worksite folder with a website in it that I've been working on in class for you guys and making other videos that already has content. I'll hit select folder. As you can see now, it's referencing the worksite folder that's in my documents. Hit save. It's going to give me a little warning and say, hey, some stuff's messed up. Your root folder is changing, blah, blah, blah. We know what we're doing, so we're going to hit OK. Hit done. And you'll notice things disappear. Don't freak out. Hit the little plus sign here. That's going to expand this open, and bam, there's our stuff, right? I know you don't know what a style sheet is yet. We'll get to that later. But I'm going to open up this index file. And as you can see, it's already got stuff on it. I've successfully imported a website that I already have work on. And that's pretty much it. That's how you maneuver creating new sites inside Dreamweaver and new files inside Dreamweaver. It is crucial. It is very important to keep all of this in order. Keeping things named appropriately. I can't stress that enough. I see every year the kids will come in, they'll have 5 folders called unnamed site, or their index files, they'll copy them 5 times for some reason, and you don't know which one's which. It's so important, and your work will be so much easier if you take time now to understand these concepts and keep things as easy and as clean and organized as possible.